Good evening. I'd like to call to order the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board meeting for Tuesday, August 18th. I would like to ask for an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to call for an approval of the consent agenda to approve the minutes of July 21st and the approval of the library expenditures for July 2020.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial reports, Mr. Joseph.
Let me get over by the mic. All right. So we have money again. Nothing really exciting happened in the past month other than one summer reading project or check going out. So
Amy, the county money, I thought that was coming in July.
No, it comes in August.
Oh, it
We
is?
have our meeting in 2 days.
Okay, all righty. So that would be money coming from the county, and it would also be money going into the outreach fund, which we currently are running in the red per se for the fund until we get payment. Are there any questions for Joseph? Okay. Moving on. Public comment. Okay. Number 6, Library Director's Report.
Hello, everyone. Couple of highlights from the director's report. Interlibrary loan within Wisconsin has resumed for those libraries willing to participate in interlibrary loan. We've had many requests placed, and we're glad to be offering that service again. Curbside pickup has also resumed, and we are offering that most of the hours that we are open. We hope this will enable everyone to have access to library materials so we can bring things to the outside for people to pick up.
Have you had people using curbside?
Not very many, but the people that have used it have been very appreciative.
Did you do anything to check that they do have a health reason, or just assume that they're not?
We take them at their word.
The ILL, when we're getting books now from the catalog, when we're getting books back from the catalog area, do those books go into our bins for the 4-day requirement, or do they stay, how does that work for them? I know books that are West Bend, we put in to our quarantine area.
Yes.
But what happens with these books?
The ILL books go through our delivery system. They when they come to Monarch Library System, they're put in a bin and sealed, so they're also dated. And we ensure that they've been sitting for 4 days.
So before we give them back to them, or after?
Both.
No. When the books come in, we give them to the Monarch, the ones, they go back right away, and then Monarch quarantines those, or?
When does the quarantine start for a book that comes in? Oh, it's green.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. When does,
It's okay.
I thought I was gonna break his arm. When does the quarantine start for books that arrive to us?
To us, the quarantine, we assume that the other libraries are doing quarantine. Okay? Which they are. We know the other libraries are doing quarantine times. So what we do is when those books come in, we assume they've been quarantined so that they can get out to customers as soon as possible.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And then,
Because most of the time they've been quarantined once they've been returned. And Once they've been returned to the library they returned them to, then they go in a bin, then they go on the truck, and they're on the truck for at least 2 days.
Well,
So,
but when they're being transported, it's not the same as an individual reading the book.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
correct, so that's like almost extra time.
Well, are you still having to spread out books in the library, use up space in the library to quarantine books?
Yes, that are being returned.
Okay, those are the, like, when I drop mine off, then you
Right, you drop
quarantine it.
yours off in the book drop at West Bend Library, we put it into quarantine for 4 days.
Can you do that downstairs and then save space upstairs?
Unfortunately, with the building project, no, we cannot.
Why, has it started already?
No, it has not started yet, but it will start. Hopefully.
But when? All I'm looking at is a way that you could potentially save space upstairs by putting the books downstairs, unless you don't need that space upstairs.
Well, we do, the space that we're using is the BI room. So if we were to bring things downstairs, they would be in the big area that would be where the library rec center is going to be.
Right. But that hasn't started yet. So
Correct.
My point being, if you need space upstairs, which you've reported in the last couple meetings that you've had to use space because you're quarantining books, why don't you move them downstairs where there's nothing going on now, and that then frees up space that you need. If you don't need the space, then fine, leave them upstairs. So do you need the space upstairs or not?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay.
Plus the staff time to take the stuff downstairs and bring it upstairs. I'd rather have a staff doing other things than hauling books up and down the elevator.
Well, it's a matter of, do you need space? If you don't need the space, it doesn't become, a
Right.
question. If you need the space, then you could haul them down. But if you don't need the space, then fine.
Not right now.
Okay.
Any other questions for Amy?
Oh, that sustainable shelf program.
Yes.
Okay. What kind of a credit do we get? I mean, is it,
We're finding out that as we've sent books away, and then we're getting the credit for our first shipment now.
So we haven't got the credit
We
yet?
haven't gotten the credit yet.
Okay, so that'll be coming in the next week or so?
Probably.
but you don't, it isn't, is it per book or how is it calculated?
The books are, we send them a list of ISBNs, which identifies a book. And then they sort them by what's going to be recycled and what's going to be sold. Okay, and then they give us credit for what's going to be sold.
So you give them a list, and then you send them the books?
Yes.
Okay, you give them a list, then you send them the
Yep.
books? Okay.
So if they say that they're going to recycle a specific title, do you just not send that?
No, we go ahead and send it because they recycle it responsibly.
Is it worth putting on our shelves for like the?
Usually not.
Not, okay.
A lot of times those are the books that are really, really old and outdated that need to be gone because the information is outdated.
Got it.
Or the condition is so bad that they can't do that.
And do they give us more money or do you don't know? Versus like, put them on the shelf for
For the
patrons
book
to buy?
sale?
Yeah.
That's what we're investigating,
Got
and that's
it.
why we're trying the program, to see if it's
Okay.
going to be a benefit to us.
Got it.
Okay.
You also mentioned, if I may, in the Washington County Library Services Study, that report that is due on 8/20, is that completed?
Almost. We're finishing it up, we were finishing up today and tomorrow to be
Okay,
presented
so-
on Thursday.
It was not intended for us to review it first?
No.
Okay. Okay.
And summer reading now is coming to a close.
Yes.
How many children did we have participate? Do you know?
That we're still extracting the data from the database.
Okay.
And we're adding in the people who did paper copies. So we're formulating those numbers now.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to have those when I come back.
other questions for Amy? Otherwise, we will move on. There's nothing in the Library Board Director's report for this month. So we'll move on to number 8A, Old Business, Monarch Library System Update.
Okay. I was able to meet with Kimberly Young for the first time since she started at Monarch Library System. I gave her a tour of the library, introduced her to staff, and talked about our community and the West Bend Library and what we have planned. We had a good discussion about system services, and I gave her some background on the Washington County Library Services Study, similar to what I gave you in the director's report. So it was a nice meeting, and I look forward to working with her.
You had a directors meeting last Wednesday?
I had a director's council meeting. yeah.
Directors council.
Yes, but I met with the directors separately.
Right. And she was at that meeting?
Yes.
And what was your impression of how it went?
I thought it went really well. She led the meeting very competently, and I think it'll be good working with her.
Good. Okay.
The library card sign-up month marketing campaign starts at the end of the month. The billboards will go up the week of August 31st. And they decided not to do the SCM advertising at this time. So that will not be part of the campaign, but we're looking forward to possibly doing the SCM advertising in the future with another possible campaign, either with Gale Courses or with possibly the Overdrive RB Digital combination.
The SCM, that was the billboard advertising?
No,
No?
SCM was the online keyword advertising.
Thank you.
The billboards are projected to go up the week of 8/31. And then as far as technology goes, Monarch Library System is investigating why we're having some slowness with Polaris. And then they are also working with Beaver Dam to get them connected to the network so they can start the process of joining Monarch Catalog.
Is the Polaris slowdown just us, or is it all?
No, it's many libraries in the system.
Does they have any idea what's causing it?
We don't know, and that's why they're investigating it.
Okay.
Yep. And that's all I have for Monarch Library System at this time.
And the system, the Monarch Board will be meeting, I think it's next month that we have our meeting, and then I'll report back from that.
Okay. Any questions for Amy on Monarch? If not, we'll move on to new business, number 9A, award bid for HVAC for the Library Recreation Center.
Could I make a statement?
Sure.
Okay. This is just kind of general information, or, my commentary on the expansion. It's been very apparent that I've been opposed to it, and now that, it's going forward, I will support fully what the board has said, we should do as a board and as a library. So I'm against the idea, but I'm going to support the action itself, and I'm going to try to get us the best bang for our buck that I think we could get. I've been talking to a number of other board members within Monarch, and there is a definite change in, and we've seen it here, the way our library is going to move forward. I think that's something that we need to address in our strategic plan going forward. But I realize that, and I accept it, and I support what we're going to do. I also feel that we should, and I think we talked about this, potentially get financial assistance from the city for this after the mall has been sold. I don't know if that's been resolved or if that has been said they're not going to give us anything, but I think, it would be beneficial for us, and it would be gratuitous on the part of the city to recognize that the library has given this opportunity for parks to find a location and to save the city spending any additional money. So I'd like to see, hopefully we can get something out of that after that mall sale is sold. I would also like to limit our contribution to the actual cost. We have authorized 100 to 150,000. And if we look in here on the bids, what we will get into,
Yes.
there would be, it's a 369,000 with a $29,000 contingency. And I would like to suggest that we move $100,000 and give them the 100,000 and then potentially dole out excess as we need it, because if we give the full 150,000 and they don't spend it, I don't think we'll get back what wasn't spent. That's just a suggestion. And the MOU is not complete yet, and I feel that should be complete so that we know who is going to do what to whom before we actually give any money. So those are my comments.
I have an update on the cost from Mike with the bids. I don't know if it's appropriate to bring that up now or if you wanted to go
With the bids? Okay.
to go into what you have there first, Amy.
Okay. Well, what I have is before you. There were 4 bids received for this portion of the project. The low bid was Alpha Controls with a bid of $162,450. The summary of the project components are in the packet, and if there's any questions, let me know. That's all I had, so go ahead, Joanne.
Okay, yeah, the update I got from Mike, and that was earlier today, the total project cost with the contingency is about $405,000, and that total does not include the Zimmerman design work, which isn't a part of the
Right, that was separate.
Would you repeat that, Joanne?
of those totals. Yeah, total project cost, including the contingency funds that we have in there, according to Mike, is $405,643. But that does not include the Zimmerman design work. Can you hear me okay, Doug, with the mask on?
I am, yeah. So we got well, here it shows that it's 397, and you're saying it's 405 for the project, right?
Including the contingency, according to
Well,
Parks this morning, and he also let me know that Parks has come up with another $4,000. So instead of $150,000, they're contributing $154,000. So I guess the point here that I wanted to make is that the numbers are in flux, and you're right, we don't know how much of the contingency that we're going to use, but because the Zimmerman design cost hasn't been included in all of this, it's not likely that we're going to come out with extra money.
we're gonna come out, they're gonna spend more than the 400,000.
Yep.
That's possible. Yeah, that's possible, but we
That's
don't know
if
yet. We're coming
the-
pretty close.
And again, that's with the,
Contingency.
pardon me?
That's with the
With
contingency.
With
the
the contingency.
contingency.
Right, but
Again,
if we
and-
don't use the contingency, then we're under 400,000.
Right, that's correct.
So do we need to assume that they're gonna spend the contingency? My concern, as I said, I'm trying to get the biggest bang for our dollar. If we give 150,000 and they don't spend it, are we gonna get back that which they didn't need? Because our contribution is going to be the building, 100,000, and then depending upon the bids, it was gonna go up to 150,000.
Right.
But right now, we don't have an MOU, so it says exactly what the numbers are, because they didn't get the bid until just recently. And I have a problem giving money when we don't know how much it's gonna cost.
But she's saying that it's probably not going
Huh?
to go under, she's saying that it's not going to go under 400.
One of the things we could do when we move the money is put in the statement that in the event there is money left over, then that money would be moved back.
But wouldn't it be easier to say, if you need more money, we'll give it?
No, because then we have to have
A meeting.
Yeah.
meeting and
Yeah,
a
you
board,
have to have a
and we
meeting to
we
do it.
No
have.
big deal, we meet once a month anyway.
But we have committed the 150.
We
Okay,
said
but-
100 to 150.
But we did vote on 150.
Right.
We did vote on that,
All
so,
right.
Yes.
so
I'll concede
that,
it. Well, so if they don't, see, it's not in the MOU that if they don't need the money,
the-
they won't give it back, that
I
they'll give
don't
it
think
back.
that's part of the MOU.
No.
That wouldn't be
No.
part of the MOU, because that,
MOU has nothing to do with the cost. It's about.
Correct.
It's about operations
Right.
ongoing.
after the
Yes.
center is in place.
Okay, if I'm the only one that's concerned about the money, fine, go ahead and spend it. I'll support.
I think that's reasoning and putting that statement in there when we transfer it. Chances are, because everything is going up, your food, everything's going up, we are not gonna, they're gonna spend all that money. I just think it's gonna happen. But put a little statement in there when we transfer, if there is any funds left over, they will be returned to the library.
Well, if we go in with the attitude that everything's gonna go up, so it's gonna cost us more anyway, there's no incentive to keep track of it. And is anybody
Doug,
from the,
these are
We're-
city,
We are keeping track of it.
we're a city. Cities are under, a different, we're under different rules than a business that can just say, I mean, we will be scrutinized, I think, not only by Parks and Rec, the city, the Common Council, and probably the newspaper. So I don't think we will just go and,
okay,
that's my feeling.
okay, I expressed my opinion, and that's fine.
And can I ask for a motion to approve the award of the bid for the HVAC from Alpha Controls and Service LLC in the amount of $162,450?
With your statement.
No, this is just to approve the bid.
Okay,
This isn't to
I'm
move the
sorry.
money.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
Do we have a second?
And I'll second it.
Okay, I do have one question. Did the Common Council approve this yesterday at their? They did. Okay, so the City Common Council approved it yesterday. Now it's up to us to also approve it. Was that unanimous? Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve to award the HVAC to, what's the name of the company?
Alpha Controls?
Alpha Controls, oh. To Alpha Controls for 162,000 plus. Okay. Any more discussion? Any further discussion? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we move on, Doug, to the authorization to transfer the fund balance for the Library Recreation Center to the city account for purposes of paying the bills.
Mhm.
Do we have a motion?
What's the? I'm-
This is to move the 150,000 to the city, so the city can disperse funds as needed for the construction.
I missed something here, and I was looking at this closer. Should that 29,000 come from non-taxpayer money, or should that come from taxpayer money? I don't have an objection to the 29,000.
What 29?
That was coming from the building fund?
You're right. The
Yes,
building
we
fund
had-
is
Oh, go ahead.
non-taxpayer money.
Correct.
And I'd like to see this come from taxpayer money, which would mean we could take the 29,000 out of, split it between 21 and 126. But utilize taxpayer money for this as opposed to non-taxpayer money, which had been donated for the building itself. And that money we have used to fix things in the building, the library itself. This is a different animal with the parks and recreation. So, again, I'm not opposed to the 29,000. I would just like to see it come from taxpayer money.
You've been on the board a while. You've been here 7 years. I do not remember ever taking any money out of that in the last 7 years. Has that been,
No, we
that's been
have-
sitting there?
We have used that money for the architectural fees for this project.
Okay, so we've already paid for
And
the Zimmerman
We haven't paid the
architectural.
total. We haven't paid the total yet because it goes throughout the project.
Okay.
That's why I'm only taking a certain amount out of
But
there.
what I'm saying is, in the last 7 years for you and probably 10 for us, we've never touched that fund.
Sure we have.
For what?
I'd have to go back to the minutes, because I remember we took
Out of
money
the building fund?
from the
I
building
think,
fund.
was that the Zimmerman? Did we authorized covering the architectural out of that? Which
For
was
the
in,
library rec center.
but that is about the, and I may be wrong.
But rather than delay this anymore, go ahead and take a vote. And if you want to take it out of the building fund, go ahead. Or if you want to take it from taxpayer money, take it from taxpayer money. I'm just suggesting.
Part of the problem, though, Doug, is because this is non-taxpayer money, we really can't move that into either of the Fund 21 or the 126, because those are
I
taxpayer.
didn't say to do that.
He said to take some out of each of the other
Take
two
some out
funds
of
to come up with the
21 and
29.
some out of
And leave the
126.
29 there.
And leave the 29 in the building fund.
What are the advantages of using the taxpayer money?
Because it is taxpayer money, and it's taxpayer money that the city says, the taxpayer says, yes, go ahead and do what you want to, city, whereas non-taxpayer money has been given to us for a specific function,
Got it.
and that's why we broke it out. So I would like to see the taxpayers using their funds to pay for this.
Doug, I think the main reason we went with the building fund was because we were trying to sort of clear it out, because it's been sitting unused for a while, other than the architecture fees. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing since I've been treasurer that's been taken out of it, which I know has only been about a year.
If it's never been used, is that the reason to spend it?
Well, that's part of those funds that the city keeps holding over our head, saying is sitting there and not being spent, which was, and we have a repairs and maintenance line that is what we're supposed to be using for repairs and maintenance, not the building fund.
And this is something we are doing to the building, I suppose.
Right.
Fine.
We are building
Right.
rooms, conference rooms. Any other opinions or insight into this? If not, we will need a motion, but in regards to this, okay, basement renovation, okay, that does say basement renovation, we're good. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to use the monies as they are on the sheet.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, we will take a vote. All in favor of moving the monies as listed on the document, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now the fun stuff, the preliminary 2021 library operating budget. Amy?
Yes, I have put together 2 different budgets to look at so far. This is preliminary data that we've received. I have worked the budget in a very realistic sense, and the health insurance shot up by 43.75%. So the city is working with a broker to look at other possibilities for health insurance and possible cost savings from that huge number. Is that correct, Brett?
Yes. They're always looking for
Yep.
ways to save money and for different ways to save.
Right. So, hopefully that number will come down in the next month or so, but I am not sure. I have been working with the city administrator and Mayor Jenkins on the budget and expressed our need for an increase in levy. So, right now, I have 2 budgets, one with a 2% raise and one without, as some examples of what we're looking at. So I have evaluated the different lines and what we have been spending and looked at trends as far as what we would need for next year. And this is what I have come up with so far. This is a draft. So, you know,
Do we know if the city is going to be providing a salary increase, or do we not know that yet?
they are planning a salary increase of 2%.
Okay, so the city is planning, so.
That's why I made a 2% budget.
Question, Amy?
Yes,
I'm looking at the summary.
yes.
Okay. The summary for the 0% increase versus 2.5%?
Did I make a mistake?
Oh, I'm asking.
Yeah, I might have, so excuse me if I
The
did.
grand total for both,
Oh, they're different. I wonder,
no, well,
Yeah.
the 2.5% is $16 more than the 0
Oh.
increase.
you know what? There was a mistake in outreach services up on the top.
Well, and then I was gonna say, outreach is more at 0 than it is at 2.5%.
Right. Okay, so cross off the 52,047 in outreach on the second budget, which is the 0% increase, and put 53047. Thank you for pointing that out.
Well, shouldn't the 2.5% budget be more than the 0 increase?
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
So that is right.
But see, the grand total is only $16 more, and I would think 2.5%
It should
of
be
the
more.
salaries.
I will recalculate that line.
Or did you decrease something in the 2.5% that you didn't decrease in the 0 in order to get to the 2.5%?
No, I didn't decrease anything.
Okay,
So
so,
I need to reevaluate that line. Thank you for pointing that out.
okay, so it's kind of hard to discuss this,
Yes,
okay.
Amy?
that's why this is a draft.
I also want to ask if the considerations of the basement renovation are included in the budget.
Yes,
Okay.
for utilities, yes,
And then for snow removal and stuff like that as well?
yes.
Okay.
And in your commentary, I think I saw somewhere where this insurance increase could be 40,000,
Try 50,000, 48,000.
48,000. If that doesn't change,
Mm-hmm.
how do you plan to handle it for the budget?
I'm working with the mayor, and I'm working with the city administrator to try and get an increase in levy,
Okay,
okay? That's my number one priority.
Okay. All right. It's kind of a big surprise, isn't it?
Yes, was a huge surprise.
Do you have any indication on when we should get the final figures?
I'm
Because
hoping by the end of September.
by the end of September?
Yes.
That's 6 weeks from now.
I know, because
Don't they
I'm
usually
waiting to
approve them
hear.
in October? The
Yeah.
city
No, they approve in November.
normally, no, they don't, they approve.
They're a month behind in this
Oh,
cycle.
got it.
So
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's the absolute latest.
Yeah,
Because with health insurance, open enrollment is in October. So, they have to know what those numbers are going to be by then.
okay.
Okay?
In regards to the budgets, outside of the insurance, what else do you think would be the biggest hit in our
The biggest
budget?
hit is in our revenues.
Is what?
Is in our revenues. That would be the biggest hit after the health insurance.
And that's because of the COVID?
Yes.
Okay. In the course of the next couple of weeks, well, first of all, if you could make the changes.
Yes.
And then send out the 2 budgets again for people to look at prior to next month, but keep us informed as to the negotiations with the city, and also if you hear back on any of the expenses. Now, we should be hearing, is the county meeting tomorrow
County meeting is Thursday.
or Thursday? They're going to be talking about approving pre-money. Is there any budget talks at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
There will be a budget presented to the Library Services Board, and any adjustments or changes will be made at that time.
And that will be Thursday of this week
Yes.
also? So if you could get us something towards the end of the week, once you have some indication. I'd like to have the board kept informed on the county's contribution.
Yes.
Okay. Well, since we really don't have figures, we're
Yeah.
kind of grasping at straws at this one, we're kind of grasping at straws. There's not much we can do at this time. Are there any questions for Amy or anything you think she should be considering?
Is the health insurance going up for everybody across the city? or just-
Yes,
okay.
that's what the mayor had indicated.
'Cause Didn't they just pick a lady who was at that meeting? We were here, didn't they award a contract like 2 years ago, or was it last year?
That was that one woman who talked, yeah, I remember that.
That was just,
Yeah, well, prices.
okay, I'm just.
Yeah, they're reevaluating the
reevaluating that
plan.
contract.
We're going to go into your question about other city departments in our next, where we talk about the city classification. Because that's going to talk about, well, first of all, any more questions on the budget? If not,
Let's move on.
we'll move on. I have asked Amy to put down the library city classification, and we do have some new members who might not understand what that is. I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the city came to the library and said, we are no longer going to be handling you like a normal city department. You are considered now a government enterprise. And the definition of a government enterprise is a unit of government that's separate from government and has the ability to raise money that's not from the government. Our city is viewing the library as an entity because we get money from the county, because we're not solely funded by the library. I guess I'm going to start taking issue with the city, and this is what I'd like to ask the board. I think we as a board need to take this on as an issue because we are not an enterprise. Public utility is an enterprise because, Doug, you get your water bill. They need more money. Your water bill goes up. There isn't a darn thing we can do that's going to cause us to get more money in that sense. We do rent out rooms once in a while, but that is not a guaranteed source of income. So I wanted to bring it up to the board today to have this discussion, because I think we need to go to the city and say, why is the library considered this?
Well, the other thing also is why the police department should also be considered an enterprise, because they get income from traffic tickets. The fire department can be considered an enterprise because they can raise the price of ambulance service. They can raise money, we can't. And yet we're considered an enterprise and they are not. Parks and Rec are considered an enterprise because they can charge for their programs.
And
But by state statute,
right.
we cannot charge for a library card. We cannot charge for anything.
And what I
What about our fees?
forgot to say in regards to being considered an enterprise, because we are an enterprise, we are required to pay for all city services. We have to include in our budget the services if we use the finance department. That's why the library has to pay for all of our own health insurance, whereas the police department and the fire department, all of that insurance is covered by the city budget and doesn't go up in their portion. That's the big difference in classification. So by being called an enterprise, all of our costs are forced down to us, and we are being held self-sufficient for these costs, while other departments outside of Park, I think outside of Park and Rec and the water utility, are handled in a different sense because supposedly they don't have income.
Are
Also
other
cable
libraries, let's say Germantown, are they considered,
No.
okay.
Did Hartford
Karen,
get back to you?
Is your mic on?
Oh,
There we
there
go.
it is on, there it's on, the
I
remote.
think there might be one other library in the state of Wisconsin, but I would venture to say that is a no. I think we are the only library in the state of Wisconsin that's considered an enterprise.
Well, I think with the new administration we have here, because this was taken on before when we had the previous mayor and before Jay was administrator, I think it's something we should approach the city. I think they may be a little more receptive to changing us back. It's something to explore.
I
Other
agree.
comments?
I agree. I don't
I
know if we
think-
all go or,
I think you started to ask about fees.
yeah,
That's the only thing that we can charge
right.
is for late books. And even there, across the nation, there's a movement to eliminate charging for books,
Right.
for late fees.
Right.
So, yeah. I guess I wouldn't say the board go. I would like to give Amy a task of putting together a document that will go to the city asking for an explanation of just why it is determined that we are an enterprise. I would like the city to give us their definition of an enterprise, why we are categorized into that, and why other departments are not. Because if it comes back, like Doug had said, the police you can get tickets. I mean, it's easy enough to capture somebody driving wrong and get increase of tickets and things. Not that I want to pit us against the fire department or the police department. I just want to be treated the same.
Is it possible that, I mean, maybe I'm just naive, that administration has turned over? So like when this was decided that we are, no.
That's why she got the 40% increase in insurance,
Okay.
okay? So it's not going to be just as easy as, oh, yes, we think this is it. I think this is going to be a fight, and I guess I'm asking the board, is this something we should be taking on?
I think so. You look at
I say yes.
your sewer, your water bill. Can the city can give us, well, this is how much income they're generating. We can come back and say, this is how much income we're generating with library fines.
Right.
You know, there's a big disparity here. So why should we be considered the exact same as the water, sewer and water utility?
And again, like Doug said, the movement is to do away with fines.
Yeah.
I guess Illinois, all of theirs, libraries have done away with late fines. But the big definition, the way they had said it, is we get money from an outside source, and they're saying it's the county. And that's how they're categorizing us. My problem with that is we don't have any control over what the county gives us, you know. This is a dollar amount that's set by the county. It isn't like, well, we could ask the county for more money, but that's not going to happen.
And we should be very aware that Washington County is very good to the libraries within the county as compared to surrounding counties and the rest of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's any time that the county could just say, well, we're gonna start cutting back. So we have no control over it. We can't raise the price. We can't raise the fee to the county. Like
But
the
they can
police
cut it.
department can raise the price of tickets, the fire department can raise the price of an emergency call.
Amy, what are your feelings?
On writing the letter or
Just
on anything?
Totally on this idea of us being considered an enterprise.
I want to know what definition they're going under and what parts of that definition are they really focusing on and why.
Okay.
I think it's important to know that and try and get in their shoes a little bit to see why they are classifying us that way. Hopefully that will bring some insight into that. As far as the county payments go, the county is required to fund us by circulation. So, you know, there's a whole statement in the law that says how they are to fund us and everything. So, but yes, Doug, they have funded us at a much higher rate than what they are required to.
I'm going to just go around to poll everybody and see. It's not an official vote. And that, Jesse, are you for this?
Definitely.
Brett?
I have to abstain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joseph?
I guess I'm for it. I'm just cautious because I vaguely feel like this is where they were pulling when we had discussions about the budget last year, that they said, well, because you guys keep your money when you're done with the budget, it doesn't go back to the city. That's, I'm pretty sure, part of the reason we're a government enterprise.
Well, they're trying to get our money thrown into a pool that we then have no control over.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we were just a regular city department, at the end of the year, all our money would go back to the city. We wouldn't sit on the surplus like we do right now.
And I think that's the give or take here, is what is the better deal for us as
Yeah.
a library going forward to be able to hold. So if we have a year where we have lots of reserves, we keep that. That's ours to use in future programming or whatever it is that we want to do. That has to be part of the understanding of what the give and take is in each scenario. And I'd love to see it laid out. This is what we get by staying status quo.
Yeah.
This is what the changes are if we were to move to a city entity or a city department, not an enterprise fund. Side by side would take care of some of that.
One of the things, though, that I look at, and I know the city is saying we don't give the money back, we, as a agency, the library has a separate tax levy. And that's why we keep it separate, because our taxpayers pay this portion of their annual tax bill strictly for taxes. Other city services are not listed as an item. They're listed as city on your tax bill. You've got the school system listed as a separate, and the library is listed as a separate levy amount. Maybe it isn't on the tax bill, but we are a separate category on the tax levy. And that's why we keep the money, because of the fact that that was specific dollars that taxpayer put in for the library. So I understand where you're coming from, Joseph, and I do see the point that we could build up a surplus. The problem that I do see is the surplus that we've had was built up 20 years ago. I mean, that's been sitting there for the last 10-plus years. We do get a little bit of surplus once in a while, but very little. And we, over the last 10 years that I've been here, have always been dipping in to that money, and those funds have been going down. And not just dipping in for building, like the basement. We've dipped into those because the city was not, because of the money we've been paying for a lot of our own building maintenance, larger capital projects. This year, Amy's worked with the city, and we're getting a better agreement with them concerning capital projects. But again, that was taxpayer money specifically paid for the library.
Well, the city has a fund balance, and they have had a goal of increasing that fund balance. So why should we not have a fund balance, and when they have a fund balance?
Karen?
I think it's something worth to explore. Again, we don't, it's totally different mayor, totally different city administrator, and let's just talk it, find out some information, talk it out with them. They may be receptive to looking at it. We should look at it, because we have new people here in the building.
Yeah.
I agree with Karen. I think it's, oops, I'm sorry. I agree with Karen. I think it's worth looking into again. The last time we discussed it, I don't feel like all the questions were answered completely, and we didn't really look at options. It was a relatively short discussion. This is how it is, folks. And so I think it's worth having that discussion again, and figuring out what to do after that.
Cindy?
I agree with all the above. I guess we need more information for sure. And like Tim said, a nice side-by-side comparison would definitely help kind of clear up some of those questions.
Tim?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's worth having the conversation and better understand it. I mean, it's not like we're making the ask one way or the other. It's to help us better understand the situation we're in. So,
Doug?
I'm for it.
Great. Okay, Amy, if you could start working up on something and start the dialogue with the city, that would be good. We'd appreciate that. And when the city is ready, they're welcome to come and talk to us, and if that's the way they want to do it.
Okay.
Is there anything else? No? Otherwise, our next meeting will be September 15th. And the assigned task list?
I've got down that Amy's going to email us about the county's contribution for revenue, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you're also going to do the letter to the city asking about why we're considered an enterprise
In the budget.
In the budget.
in the budget.
Yep.
Okay. Any other tasks? I don't think so. Oh, you could have rode your bike.
I had white belt last time I rode.
I know. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.